Hey guys, it's a little bit early what we normally do this. If you're just now signing in, let us know what city, what state, what country you're chiming in from, and I would love to know. You know what? If you just want to level up your resume game, you're in the right place, and I want to know what it is that you're looking for at this point. Let us know in the comments. Maybe you're a hiring manager and you just want to get some things, some tips and tricks to see what's going on out there in the marketplace. So whether you are looking for something or you're a hiring manager, or perhaps you're not looking for anything, you just want to make sure you're staying relevant with the right topics regards to the resume part of the process. That's what we're going to focus on over the next just a better part of an hour. But thank you very much for joining us today. And I want to welcome our guest. We have Miss Soozy Miller. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yeah, so the reason why I picked Soozy, guys, is because she's a resume expert. That's what she does. And one of the things I think is really cool that she does to test out her own product. I want to ask you about that first of all. You know, you got this advice. We have lots of people who have advice, right? All this advice. But we don't necessarily always know if it's still relevant. So what do you do to make sure that your advice is relevant?
I apply to jobs. What I do is I have one master resume, and then every once in a while, it's usually about every 6 months, I don't go out of my way to look for a job, but if something happens to catch my eye, I'll say, oh, this looks interesting, and I'll apply to it using all the methodology that I tell my clients to use. I will edit my resume, and I will apply within the job posting application, website application, and I'll apply to it. And I always get an interview, which is really cool. I always get a response, which is really nice. But I do that, seriously, I do it because I want to make sure I'm on trend. I want to make sure that the advice that I'm giving people really works. And yes, it really works.
I love it. So it gives us that much more confidence in what you're going to tell us today. And so we already have a few that have already, wow, they're coming in early. I love it. Anjan Kumar Patnaik from Bangalore, India. Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for being here. We have Varshith Raganda. Yes, hello. Thank you for being here, as well as Sri Mahabir. Sri, you're right here in Houston area, so good to see you coming in. All right, awesome. And off to a great start. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start off with, give me what are the top 2 or 3 mistakes that you see made when you're consulting with your candidates or just in general? What are those top 2 or 3 mistakes you see made? Let's figure out some ways we can correct them.
Okay, the number one mistake that I see people make is using one resume to apply to all positions. Using one general resume, and that means that they may or may not have a title at the top, which is super important, which I'll get to later. It'll say like summary or personal profile or a general phrase like that. And then the summary underneath that will be a description of themselves, like a general overview of their personal experience. And so they use that one resume along with everything they've ever done in the experience section. And they think if they send out that one resume that's so general, it'll hit as many people as possible or as many hirers as possible.
Exactly.
And recruiters call that spray and pray. Send out as much as you can, sometimes hundreds of resumes in a week. And they go, oh, please, I hope somebody answers it. There's a much better way to do that. So that's the number one, is using something general, using a general resume to apply to more than one position. Inefficient. Bad idea. Number 2 is in the experience section, they want to put absolutely everything in, as I mentioned, but they also hide their accomplishments. In the experience section, you want to make sure that your value is there. And I'll get into that later. Of course, I'm sure we'll get into that. But you want to make sure that you not just show what you've been doing and your actual work, but how you have impacted the companies that you've worked for as a result of that work. And that will set you apart from your colleagues, because your colleagues are all saying, did this, which is great. You did your job, you're good at it. But the company wants to pay you a salary. And with that salary, they're expecting results or some kind of improvement or help.
Absolutely.
Company. So those are the two major things I come across. And they can be broken down further into other issues, but those are the two main things that I see.
Yeah, and I'm just want to check in with my studio audience and just see they're listening intently. There we go. There's a response. Very good. I like that. They like it too. I agree. I was shaking my head because I've seen all those mistakes being made. Let me go spruce up my resume, just as in one, and they spruce it up, and it's great. But it becomes a master, jack of all trades, master of none. So it doesn't really fit any one job perfectly.
Exactly.
But it fits a lot of jobs somewhat. So I love your idea of having multiple forms of the resume. Number one. So give our audience some ideas on how they can customize the resume to different jobs. What parts of it are you going to customize? Now, I want to dive into that accomplishments part, but I wanted to just first, what are some overall things you suggest to have on our list to customize for the different jobs?
Okay, so the first thing you should do doesn't even start with the resume. The first thing you should do is read the job posting.
Oh, yes.
And read it carefully. Read it top to bottom. That's what I tell all of my clients. Read the job posting from top to bottom because there might be information that's important even in the last sentence. Happens all the time.
Yes.
So read the job posting first and make sure that you match it in your experience at least 80%. Skills, tools, and experience at least 80%. So that's the first thing you do, because a lot of people look at it, just the job title alone, and they think, oh, I can do that, or oh, I want to do it. And then it turns out that the job isn't for them because they didn't read the rest of it. Job posting, top to bottom. And then really the sections that you want to concentrate on in the resume is the title, the summary, and related skills, or some people call it core competencies. Some people call it, I don't know, there's different names for it. But from the top down, it's title, summary, and then related skills. And this is called job matching or resume tailoring. And you're basically tailoring or matching those sections to the job.
Makes sense.
And I cannot express how important this is.
Absolutely.
Because so many people do the spray and pray method, and recruiters are looking at the resume on this other side. The recruiters are looking at the resume, or the hiring team is looking at their resume and going, yes or no, yes or no. What do I do here? Because maybe, and I'm not sure. And then they put it on the maybe pile, and the maybe pile is hundreds and hundreds of resumes, and they have to figure out what to do with that maybe pile.
Yes.
Make it easier on them by job matching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to chime in from a recruiter's point of view from this, because I want to give some helpful feedback to those who are watching. So let's say I'm the recruiter on the job, and I've got 100 resumes that have come in. My first job is to get that thing whittled down. I cannot interview 100 people each for every single job I have. If it's only one position, I can't interview 100 people. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it whittled down. And so is the hiring manager. Mm-hmm. The hiring manager is not going to want to see 100 resumes either. So I like what you said about being matched up, because the first thing the recruiter is going to do is whittle down. So if you're applying for jobs that, instead of, like, to your point, 80%, let's say you only qualify 20 or 50% or 60%, or you just think you're really great for it, but your resume doesn't show it. Unfortunately, I'm just going to filter it out. That's just how it works. And I say I'm acting as if I'm the world, the combined world of recruiting here for a second as an industry. So if you can, yes, tailor the resume to the job, because you want to get through that first filter. which is not some nameless ATS. It's a person that's actually reviewing these resumes. Now, the times where the person doesn't review the resumes is if you don't answer the knockout questions properly and you get knocked out of the process. So if you don't have the proper amount of experience, or if it's a deal breaker for the hiring manager, you're going to get knocked out, and I may not even review the resume. I say I'm not saying me personally, Rollis Fontenot. I don't even personally work on recs, but over the thousands that I've worked on over the years, that's just how it works. So I agree with you. It's very relevant what you're saying. Now, some other folks have come in. We have Elma Brook Saleh. He says, hello, everyone from Libya. Wow. I'm getting a lot more folks from all over the world. This is amazing. We have Bhumika Gangadi from Gujarat, India. Wow. This is awesome, guys. Thanks for coming in. She says, it's nice to listen to you guys, is what Bhumika says. So thank you. We appreciate seeing your comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Okay,
that is nice.
Let's get into, and I tell you, I almost wanted to give you a clap just when you talked about what you've accomplished for the company versus what you have been doing. I think that is so key. So give us some examples on that, and then maybe I can add a little color to it too. Okay, so I use a very specific methodology when I'm helping a person write an impact statement or a value statement. And that is actually, it was used by, or it was named by Google HR. And what the formula is the impact followed by how you created that impact. Okay, so it's a specific formula. Google, it's actually called XYZ, and then Google took it on, now it's called Google XYZ. But it's XYZ. You really want to concentrate on the X and the Z. Impact that you created the company, increase sales 30%, enhanced hiring processes, improve a product, make that immediate impact statement right there so it's clear what the impact was, followed by how you created that impact. Increase sales by hiring more regional managers. Improve product by getting feedback from users, that kind of stuff. You want as many numbers as possible. Numbers, metrics, facts, percentages, ranges, something that the recruiter or the hiring team can sink their teeth into, so there's a real number there that you can talk about when you're in an interview or over the phone. Give them concrete information that shows your value, that shows the impact that you've had on the company. Love that. And one of the things that I've shared, now you can tell me if you agree with this, but a lot of folks on a LinkedIn profile will have things like 10 years of experience as a X or 20 years of experience as a X, and they don't have listed out the accomplishments. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I've worked with graduate students who accomplished multiple things in 1 year, and then I've worked with executives who have been in companies for 30 years and they have nothing to show for it. So it really depends on the person, but if you're an executive, that's part of my job is to bring it out of you. If you're an executive and you've got 10 years of experience or 20 years of experience, I'm pretty sure you're going to have something to show for that. It may be harder for us to dig down and get to it, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be stuff there because it's my job to show you or to help you demonstrate that value where you haven't seen it before or you haven't been able to express it before. It's my job to help you express it so that when you get to that interview or you like that job that you see and it's time for you to demonstrate it, you can explain it and you can detail it, what makes you a better candidate than the other 100 in that pile.
I love that. That's on point right there. You see, the audience likes it too. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think because years of experience in of itself is not a differentiator, because if I've got 100 candidates and they all say I got 10 years of experience, how do I differentiate out of the 100?
Yeah.
Now, if you're a clinician, let's say in the case of a registered nurse, or if you're a provider, like say you're a physician, if you are a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, even then, 5 years of experience, that's great. 5 years of experience during those 5 years of experience, I would love to know what departments you worked in, what
Who you
type
worked
of
with.
who you worked with, patient. Did you have? Is there some kind of Daisy Awards or some type of awards you got to show that
Right.
you've excelled? Do you have some extra certifications? Those are all things that I think play into it. And then we're talking. You mentioned executives, which I thought was great. Did they move the needle? I know in healthcare, patient satisfaction scores are big. Obviously, revenue and profitability, lowering costs. If we're able to be able to add on new services, new projects, maybe it's a new construction project. There's just tons of things that maybe have happened in this executive's career that need to be outlined in a bullet format,
Yes.
so that a resume can be easily, seen that there's some differentiators here.
Yes, absolutely differentiators. And I actually recently worked with a healthcare executive who came to me and said, Soozy, I have nothing to say. I work with patients. I work with patients all day long. That is what I do. I have not improved anything. And by the time we were done working together, he had a jam-packed resume that was full of accomplishments.
I love it.
He came to me and he said, I don't do anything. Like, I can't express to you what I do. And it's a matter of asking them the right questions to get the information out of them.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got some good content. I think we got some good clips out of this. So what I'm going to do now is let's do a fun question. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if I got a good one for you. Would you rather be in a deep lake 5 miles from shore in a rowboat with a slight but steady leak, or in a hot air balloon 1 mile high with a slight but steady leak? That's a tough choice right there. Guys,
I think I saw this on another one of your programs.
Yeah. But wait, before you answer, in the comments, I want you to answer too. This is fun, guys.
Okay.
I want you guys to answer as well. Which one would you pick out of those two? Would you rather be in a deep lake 5 miles from shore in a rowboat with a slight but steady leak, or in a hot air balloon 1 mile high with a slight but steady leak? Okay, so Soozy, what's your answer?
I'm going to go with the rowboat.
Okay, why is that?
In the deep. Because I was actually just recently cleaning my ceiling fans, and I got up on a ladder, and when I went to reach up to wipe the fans, I was like, whoa, okay. I'm not so good with heights anymore. So it would be the height factor with the balloon that would be a problem for me. But I can swim, and I can float on a piece of wood to get where I need to be, so I'm going with the water.
You know what? I'm with you. I'm with you on that, because I'm very afraid of heights, and so I'm gonna go with the rowboat. I can swim. Worst case scenario, I can swim. So I'm gonna go with the rowboat. I know I can't fly. So if that barrel balloon doesn't work out,
really, no, your wings are broken.
Exactly. Okay, Beth says no. I'm on Holiday Street. I'll take this seriously when my holiday is over. That's funny. Oh, Paul says rowboat could possibly swim back. No survival in the air. There you go. Me and Paul. Okay, Paul, I'm giving you a virtual high five. I agree with you. And so does Soozy. Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. So let's go back to the conversation here. So, as far as resume, we talked about the title, we talked about the objective part as well as the skills, and that's the matching, and then we began to talk about accomplishments. What's your feelings on if they've worked at the same place for quite a while and they've had a lot of different positions? How do you like to handle that with your clients?
I have a few of those. As a matter of fact, I'm working with somebody on that now. I divide them up by treating each position underneath the main company. There's position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, and they've moved up, let's say, over 20 years. I try to show each position under the move up, under the ascent. I try to show each position as different responsibilities and accomplishments, as if they had 4 different jobs almost under that company. That's a little hard sometimes because some jobs, it was a matter of they just got a few extra tasks and responsibilities added every time they were promoted. So, but I do just try to bring it out to them because I want less repetition, because with each job, putting each job separately gives you more action verbs, gives you more key words, and is another opportunity to list those accomplishments.
Great point.
Also visually, it's not good to see one company with, a paragraph of positions followed by long information about the job.
Yes.
You want to break it up so it's nicer for the eye to see. Break it up with name of the company, job, accomplishments,
Yes.
down the line.
This is what I'm getting from what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with you. So correct me if I'm wrong. It's not as important to list out the stuff you've done. It's more important to list out the stuff the results from what you did. In other words, the things you actually accomplished.
Absolutely, I will take accomplishments over job responsibilities anytime.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite resumes that I ever wrote was a toy manufacturing executive. And I literally had no room to write a job description. I think under each title, he'd been doing it for like 30 years, and he was really good at it. So under each position, there was like one line of a very general statement about what that position was about, and then it was just bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet. And then it was a position and one line of statement about what it is, and then bullet point, bullet point, bullet. I cannot emphasize the accomplishments enough. Accomplishments, impact, value are crucial for differentiating you from your competition.
And just to piggyback on what you said earlier, or to incorporate what you said earlier, is in those accomplishments, try and include quantifiable numbers,
yes.
percentages,
Please.
amounts, dollars.
Yes. And great communication, great computer work is not an accomplishment.
Right.
Okay, that's not an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Making sure something happened is not an accomplishment. If you made sure that something happened and there were all these barriers and challenges to getting there, or your budget was reduced, or you lost personnel to budget cuts or something, that is an accomplishment. You got the same job done with fewer people and fewer resources. But all in all, if you just were able to get the job done, you got the job done. And one of my favorite analogies for this is, it's off topic, but it's an event planner. Mm-hmm. If you were an event planner and you planned an event, you didn't accomplish anything. That was your job. If you're an event planner and your budget got slashed and your personnel got slashed and everything got reduced and you still did the job or raised more money or you got rave reviews, then those are accomplishments.
That's a good point. I like that. So Beth says, seriously, I love this live. So she's loving this, what we're doing right now, Soozy.
Thank you.
And Devansh Potter, he says, how to quantify user experience.
That's kind of general, but how to quantify user experience. I'd have to get more information about that question.
Yeah. Give us a little bit more on that. And I'll just, if you, maybe you'll agree with me. This isn't healthcare, but the patient satisfaction scores. If you're a healthcare leader and you have anything
I think that's what he means.
Maybe he means that. I don't know. I don't know if he or if
you can do a rating if you're talking about if the user experience survey has like 5 stars or rating of 1 out of 5 or, rating up to 5 or something like that for user experience, you can say, rated 4.5 out of 5 or rated 5 out of 5 per user survey.
Yeah.
You can say that as an accomplishment, definitely.
And let's pretend that there isn't one. I'm just making this up. You let me know if this sounds good. But let's say there isn't a user experience number in my industry. If I worked on 10 projects, and out of those 10, I got positive reviews from all 10, I could say I have 100% customer satisfaction ratio.
You could 100%. You could say it. You have to be able to explain that in an interview with those numbers.
Yeah.
Like if the interviewer asks you how many people are you talking about or how many reviews are you actually talking about, you would have to be able to address that honestly. But yeah, you can put that.
Hey, just kind of winging it here. He's coming in from YouTube.
It's good.
Thank you to Devansh. Devansh is coming from YouTube, so I'm glad he's watching us live on YouTube right now. So thank you for doing that. Go ahead, Soozy. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that you want to be able to address everything on the resume that you write. You need to be able to answer to if someone asks you a question. If they don't ask you a question about it, don't offer necessarily additional information. But if they ask you a question about something that's on your resume, you have to be able to answer it and answer it honestly, because you don't want to see what happens if you don't.
Yes, that I love that. That's good. That's golden right there. Okay, so I have another question for you. This is a fun one. You ready?
Okay, fun one.
Okay. So guys in the comments, I want you to answer the same question, okay? Never have I ever.
Oh, okay.
Never have I ever taken a selfie with my dog. Now, before you answer this, I don't want you to answer it yet. Okay. So first of all, we don't know if you have a dog or not. Okay. Second of all, we don't know if you've taken a selfie. Okay. So guys in the comments, what do you guys think? What do you think she's going to answer this question? Do you think she's going to say yes, she's taken a selfie with her dog, or she's never taken a selfie with her dog? Tell me yes or no in the comments.
Let's see what they say.
What's that?
Let's see what they say. I want to see this.
And in the comments, I also want you to let me know about yourself. If you have or you've never taken a selfie with your dog. Now, obviously, you have to have a dog in order to take a selfie with it, because it says taking a selfie with my dog. So we're going to see what they answer, Soozy. But while we're giving them a second to answer, and hopefully I won't forget to get your follow-up on this. But when it comes to the resume part, what types of contact information do you like to have on a resume? Because there's lots of choices. We've got social media profiles, we've got email, we've got mobile phone,
right?
All these different things.
Right.
What do you think should be on a resume in terms of contact information?
Okay, telephone number, email, LinkedIn profile.
Okay,
that's it.
I like that.
Let me explain why.
Please.
First of all, no links on a resume, okay? Because of those pesky applicant tracking systems, that pesky software that companies use, sometimes links can mess up your chances with that software that companies use. So, no links.
Okay.
So don't make your email a link, and don't make your LinkedIn profile a link. When people give their social media profile, their social media address, they tend to also then give those little icons, okay? With those little symbols, please don't. Some machines can't read those, and it messes up your resume. So no little icons, no artwork, no graphics on the resume. Some people, the more contact information they add on in the top, the more creative they tend to get. They say, well, if I should put Twitter on because it's got that funky little Twitter icon or logo. No. No links. Keep those links dead. Keep those addresses dead links. And just phone number, email, LinkedIn. And the reason why people make them lie is they think they've been told by other professionals that if you click on the link, it's just easier for the recruiter. If the recruiter likes your resume, likes your information, they want to get you as soon as possible, and don't make them delay. I can tell you right now that recruiters and hiring team are more than capable of copying and pasting your information into whatever platform they're using. Perfectly capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So
That's
you don't
true.
want the links to trip it up. Also, a lot of people get nervous about security, which is why I do not list address or even city, county, state, because if you have a non-common name, someone could look you up. I was putting that information on, and I got so much feedback from my clients that they didn't want it in terms of safety that I just took it off after a while.
Okay. All right. This is good stuff, and I agree. I think keep it simple, especially if you're applying for a job online and they're pulling it into a system. They're not going to see all those graphics. Yeah. Now, if I was emailing it to someone who I know personally, and I know this is a person, I could send them my fancy version, right?
Well, not
Okay.
necessarily,
All right.
because I've received versions via email. When I was a recruiter, I received versions via email, and even between email systems, it got really messed up.
Oh,
Some
wow.
of them did.
That's a good point, too.
If you are emailing it to somebody, if you're emailing to a personal contact, a direct contact at a company or a recruiter, PDF. Okay? Or
Yes.
if you're going to use Word, make sure that this is kind of hard to describe, but make sure that your format is solid. Like all my formats are hard coded, so I know they're not going to get messed up during the transfer, but a lot of formats are not hard coded, or some people just literally put the information on the page with no coding. You need a little bit of formatting, structured formatting that will get to an ATS.
I agree. And I will say this, though. Whenever I was heavy into recruiting and working on my own recs, as a third-party recruiter, the PDFs sometimes were a little wanky for me in terms of, especially if I needed to, let's say they have all their contact information on there and I might need to forward it to a client. Of course, I get their permission first, but I need to maybe remove perhaps their email or phone number. So in those cases, maybe a third party.
I got that recently. Yes, I got that recently. I got that feedback recently from an agency. If you are, I would say send both.
Okay, that's
if you're sending it to if you're sending it to a recruiter or a direct contact, send the PDF and send the Word, because as you said, the agency or your contact may want to make some changes because they know the company really well and they know what the company likes, so they might want to make some changes. So send both. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. And I tell you, in the past, I've had some candidates I've worked with say, look, I noticed a couple of things here in your resume. Would you mind if I tweaked it? Oh, yeah, no problem. And then I'll even send it back to let them take a look at it before I forward it on. And they so much appreciated it. Okay, we do have a couple of things came in. Okay, now, Paul Keys. Okay, thank you, Paul. Paul says, yes, of course, pets are part of your family. And he says, yes, I have, laugh out loud. So he has, and he thinks that you have. And then Joanne says, yes, and me too. So she thinks you have, and she has too. So we're all in suspense. Never have I ever taken a selfie with my dog. What's your answer?
Never have I ever.
Okay.
I'm not a selfie person. And the reason why I never take selfies is that I think I always look really distorted in the pictures. So I stopped doing it.
Got it. Do you have a dog?
I do, and I love him very much.
What's your dog's name?
Nigel.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, anybody who has a dog in the comments, let us know your dog's name in the comments. Okay, we want to know what your dog's name is. So Susie's dog's name is Nigel. I personally don't have a dog. I like dogs, but I don't have a dog personally. But it's interesting what you said about that. Okay, one of our other shows, I think it was actually Shanae Moray's show. We were talking about duck face. Have you ever done a duck face selfie? We already like that, you know? You do your lips like that?
No, my daughter does them, but I don't.
Okay, so we got some more clarification from Devant. She came back and said, I'm a game developer, and I want to say that by performing multiple beta tests of my games, I was able to improve gameplay and user experience. But how to quantify that percentage of improvement? So
I would want to ask you, because I see the comment. I would want to ask you, do you know how many beta tests, again, numbers, we want specific numbers. Do you know how many beta tests you ran? And do you know how the game improved? Do you know specifically how those tests improved the gameplay? Again, details, specifics about what your contribution was.
Yes, I love that. So basically work with the data you have. Analyze the data you have and work with it. See what you can do.
Yes.
And report on it accurately so that when they ask you about it in the interview, you can answer it honestly. That's good. I love that. That's great points. Okay, I'm curious as to how it's kind of resonating with the audience here. They seem to like it. Yeah, they're liking that.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I have a great audience. I tell you, they're so positive and
very enthusiastic.
Very enthusiastic. Always. They never let me down. Okay, I have another fun. This is a fun question, but this is not a would you rather though. This is a different one, and this is not a never have I ever. Okay, so my question for you is, if you were going to write. Oh no, I'm gonna do this instead. Okay. What is the most important event you've ever had to miss because of some unforeseen circumstance that popped up? Okay, guys, in the comments, let me know what was your event that you had to miss. It was just the most important event you can think of that you had to miss because of some unforeseen circumstance that popped up.
Psychologists always say use the first thing that pops into your head, so I'm using the first thing that pops into my head.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, I thought you wanted the audience to do it first, no?
No, I want you to go ahead and answer. We'll let the audience. We'll read.
I'm going to answer. Comments. All right. I missed my uncle's 75th birthday because my husband, who's now my ex-husband, but my husband and I at the time were dating, and he asked me to do something with him. And I really wanted to be with him. It was like the relationship was new, and he asked me to some weekend away or something, and I really, really wanted to go. So I called my aunt and said, I'm going to beg your forgiveness here. And she knew him. She had met him. So she was like, go ahead. Don't worry. Thank you for calling. Go ahead. And I apologized before and after and everything. But yeah.
Got it. Yeah. I remember there was one time, it was I know what it was. So my wife's mother and her aunt and her grandmother were visiting, and I got the flu, and they had to leave because they didn't want to catch the flu.
Oh, that's harsh.
And it just broke my heart because I really wanted, my wife and myself to spend, time with them because I like them too.
Yeah,
I enjoy them.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was tough, man, because they traveled from out of the country. At least two of them were. Yeah, all three of them were traveling from out of the country, from Jamaica and Canada, and they were just in the town. They were only here for a short period of time, and so yeah, because of that. So my apologies to my wife again if she watches this for getting sick that time. Okay, so guys in the comments, let us know. We spilled our beans. You spill yours. What was the most important event you had to miss? Okay, going back to the resumes again. In your opinion, as you think back, what was like the best resume you've ever written? Like, what was just like? Tell me why you thought it was just the most one. And again, you can go back to what you just said. Which
so hard because there are so many. That's so hard because there are so many. There was one I really liked, which was the toy manufacturing gentleman that I talked about earlier, and his was fun just because he had so many accomplishments that I could play with and so many things. It was just a matter of organizing the information. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Look what he did. And it was a fun resume to work on because he was so successful that it was really easy just to put everything in place. But I also have had many resumes, many clients in which they came to me and they were super stressed and their resume was bad and they weren't getting anywhere. And I turned their life around and I turned their resume around. And that is my favorite thing to do. When they come to me and I can hear it in their voice and they are just beside themselves. There's one gentleman who was applying to something like 150 a day. He was thinking of changing careers. He was a doctor. He was a radiologist. And he came and he was thinking of changing careers. And he ended up just completely transformed by the experience. He was just like, oh my God, I did this and I did that and I did that and I did that. And he got a job, got a lot of offers really quickly. So when I work on things like that, it's just really satisfying that the person has left more confident, happier, and more able to go through the job hunting process. That's huge for me. That's why I do this.
You know, I love that. And one of the things you made me think of with this process, I never thought about this before, but sometimes we're so busy doing a job, we don't stop and smell the roses and think about what are the wonderful things that we've accomplished during the time that we were there. And I could see definitely how this exercise of listing out your accomplishments can build your confidence for that next interview. I love that.
Yes, and that's actually really important because they start with a resume that has no accomplishments, no value. It's task-based, as we discussed earlier. When I work with a client, it's not just about what's going on the paper. It's about them being able to talk about it because they've talked through it or they've written through it with me, and they've qualified it and they've quantified it and they've made it clear so that when they get to that interview and the interviewer asks them, so why should we hire you? Those dreaded questions, why should we hire you? Or why do you want to work here? Or, one of those really general questions, they won't say because I'm passionate or because I'm a great communicator or because I've been in this business for 30 years. They won't answer like that anymore. They will answer because I did X for this company and I'd like to do it for you because he was the situation they were in and I helped them by doing X and now they're better off because this is the result. And you can speak to your results in the interview and demonstrate yourself as a value add to the organization instead of saying I'm passionate, I'm a great communicator, and I'm experienced. There's a big difference.
Absolutely. I love it. This is great stuff. And what I want to do before we finish this discussion, please don't let me forget, Soozy, but I want to talk about numbers as far as how much the resume plays into whether we're going to get the interview versus cover letter versus if you know the person. But we're going to come back to that because I have some comments to read.
Okay.
We have some folks. Oh, wow. I love it. Okay. Got some good ones here. All right. So Paul says, missed my wife's pre-op appointment while traveling back from an out-of-state assignment. Yep, I can understand that. And thank you for sharing that, Paul. Letitia Ferreira, she says, how do you deal with career shifts when writing resumes?
Big one.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yes, that's a big one. Thank you for asking that. That's a big one. Question. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to suggest transferable skills. Because you're obviously not the first one to ask this. It's a big problem, especially during this pandemic time when people were questioning their careers or questioning their lives. What should they do next? If their company wasn't rehiring, should they move on to something else? What do you do? So first thing I'm going to say is look at your transferable skills. If your like base skill is customer service and you really enjoy customer service, and you're really good at it and you have accomplishments as a result of customer service, then think of customer service as your skill going into another job. And I look for other jobs related to customer service. So think about the transferable skills. And again, communication is not a transferable skill. That's a general skill. Computer work is not a transferable skill unless you're dealing specifically with like advanced Excel or any of the specific coding programs. So think about specific skills that you transfer. Number two is, for my clients, I have a special section that I add at the top of above the experience section, which makes a statement about general overview of the transferred skills. I do that for transferred skills. I had one client many, many years ago, actually, who transitioned. He had been a very successful investment banker. And he had gotten a taste of volunteering to help veterans find jobs. And he transferred from one to the other. And I did that resume. That was really interesting. And he went from this 2-page chock full of investment strategy and accomplishments and money making and all this great stuff to 2 years of volunteering to help veterans. That was a very different resume to make, but it was a fantastic resume because he was committed to this new give back position and he got it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So Letitia, does that answer, or it might be Letitia or it might be Leticia. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but did we answer your question? Let us know in the comments if we answered your question. And let's before we answer the next question, I'm going to take a water break. I meant to do it at the half hour mark, but I'm going to take it now. You have water? You want to join me?
I actually have a drink. Cheers.
We've been talking for a while, so it's good to have a quick little water break. Okay, so Devanch, she comes in from YouTube. He says, is it a bad practice to have a 2-page resume? What do you think?
Right, I saw that. Okay. So there is no standard length for a resume. There's no cutoff point. There's nothing like that. If you have a federal resume, that's different. And the CV in American CV is different than a resume, which I can get to in a moment. But really the thought is 2 pages max. Okay? 1 page is not really great if you're a senior manager and higher, because a recruiter, I've gotten back feedback from recruiters that if you have a 1-pager, you look young. If you can fit all of your experience along with that title, summary, and skills section in there, you really only have time for 1, maybe 2 jobs underneath that. And that's not great if you're a senior manager or higher. So really you're looking at 2 pages max. And the reason why I suggest 2 pages max is surveys of recruiters and hiring managers show that readership and attention span drops off dramatically after the 2nd page. So while some do read after the 2nd page, I mean, I know a recruiter who ripped off the 3rd page when he got 3 pages. He ripped off the 3rd page, and there goes all your great information, including probably your education and your certification.
Yeah.
On that 3rd page, and I have on that last page. So I stick to 2 pages.
Yeah, and I agree with you on most positions. I'll say in the physician world, they do a lot of publications. And
well, that's CV though. That would be
yeah.
CV actually.
Okay. So
I would say that's the difference between resume and CV. For CV, publications, projects, presentations, the P's, publications, presentations, projects, research goes on there. That's really considered American CV.
Yeah. Yeah. What we did on a recent search, we're working on a chief medical officer search. And what we did on that was we included their full CV, but we also created an executive summary. And so that executive summary was only 2 pages that went with...
Oh, like a bio.
Yeah, that went with the CV. So the executives could kind of quickly go through and compare a few different profiles a little easier than going through a 9-pager here, a 12-pager there,
right.
8-pager there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So I love your feedback. that was a great. So let us know, Devanch, did that answer your question? I totally agree with Soozy. I think 2 pages in most cases, if you can get it down, that's going to definitely help your case. Valerie says quantify to qualify. Thanks, Valerie. Good to see you. And Letitia, maybe you let me know if I'm saying that right. Hopefully I'm saying it right. She says thank you, and yes, that answered her question. So awesome, Soozy.
Cool.
That was great.
Cool.
Okay, one of the things I did want to share is sometimes I wonder, I put all this work in my resume, my cover letter, all this stuff. How much does it really matter? And let's just kind of kick around some things. I recently did a poll with my network, and I think I had about 160 responses, something like that. And out of them, roughly about 58% said the resume was like the first thing that's the first thing they would use to rank the candidates. And there were a couple of things after that. I think the number 2 was if they know them, around 20%. And then there was another one that was in the high teens. That was if they had a good cover letter. They also ranked that next after minimum skills. And then the one after that, which was around 6%, was education. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? How important do you think resume is? How important do you think it is if they know you? Cover letter, education. What do you think ranks the best when we're talking about ranking candidates, especially based on resumes?
Okay, I have a few thoughts on this. First of all, among recruiters and resume writers, cover letters are the most discussed and debated issue I think that exists. Other than applicant tracking systems and the software that companies use to track and qualify candidates, cover letters are the most debated topic. should you have one? What happens if it's an option on an application? What should you say in one? What's too much? What's too little? Should I have my personality in there? Should I be straight? What should I do? There's no right answer. Of course, it's going to depend on the recruiter. It's going to depend on, as we said, the recruiter or the agency might make adjustments for the company that you're applying to so that you can adjust to what they need and what they want. For cover letters, as far as I can see, only about 50% of companies now call for cover letters. Only about 50% of applications call for cover letters. So I tell my clients, treat it like a preview to the resume. That's my style. That's how I deal with it. Treat it like a preview to the resume. So again, tailor it, job match it to the job, and then put in 3 accomplishments that you can just take from the resume. And rewrite them a little bit to make them conversational. That's my suggestion. There's no easy answer on this. I think, I know it's not in healthcare, but I think that Google about 2 years ago or a year ago actually stopped taking cover letters. If there's an option on the cover, if there's an option in the application to send a cover letter, yes. However, big caveat here, in the application, sometimes an option will be like any other comments that you have, and there'll be a box. In which case you have to adapt the content in your cover letter to that little box. And it's going to look crappy, but if you want to add one, add one. It's just a much debated, slowly phasing out aspect of applications. The resume is still the showcase item, and referrals and networking is absolutely key to a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't just write a resume and send it out and do that spray and pray thing. You can't just do a resume and send it out and expect to get, and with my resumes, I get a lot of response, but it's only one part of the job search. Network, talk to people, join groups, start talking.
Love that. Yeah. And it's interesting whenever we had a conversation earlier, whenever I said it's about 20% to do with how well, of a 20% factor in terms of the hiring manager, if they know you or not, you felt it was even higher than that, depending on how well they knew you. Yes,
I do. If they've known you, or they've known you, not necessarily as a company, but they've known you in the field and they've seen your work, and like I just said, they've talked to you on LinkedIn, or they've seen your LinkedIn post, or they've seen your Facebook post, or they've seen posts in healthcare group discussions, then they'll see your work. They'll see your expertise there.
Yep. Absolutely. So Leticia, she said I got her name right. Awesome. She said yes. We answered her question. And Devance, he said yes. He or she, I don't know. It doesn't have the picture. We answered that question as well. So thank you all of you for your questions. They were amazing. Hopefully this was time well spent for you. Now, Soozy, I want to ask you. We've got one more question here. Leticia says, how about short intro videos on LinkedIn? That's my jam. Go ahead. What do you think? What do you think, Soozy?
Yes. Yes. Videos get exponentially more hits or more attention than text or photos or graphics. They get exponentially more hits, but be careful what you put in the video. Okay. Yes, you want to show your personality, but LinkedIn is a professional site. So you want to be dressed well.
Yes.
You want a decent background. You want to be talking about something professional. You want to be acting professional. You don't want a TikTok video on there. You don't want some, thing with music and going and conversations with other people.
Right.
Make it professional, because it's going to be a first impression.
Yep. Well, maybe unless you're applying for a TikTok marketing manager job, possibly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
You're right. No, that was great advice, and I agree with Soozy. Definitely have some videos that speak to your expertise, so that when someone does look up your profile, whether it's the recruiter or the hiring manager, it can differentiate you and set you apart, because probably the other people who you're up against probably don't have a video. And
Right.
out of 100 applicants, if only 3 of them have videos, that's a differentiator. And you haven't even your resume may not even be as what do you call it, impressive as some of the others with the experience, but because you showed up on LinkedIn, they can
see a person, they can connect with your personality, connect with your ideas. The other thing I wanted to mention, just as like a closure thing, send a thank you note after you talk to every person you talk to. The recruiter, even if it's just on the phone for 10 seconds, every person, try to get their email address and send them a thank you note. That's a huge differentiator.
I love that. And I've got a small portion of my audience that are in the healthcare industry, and they're showing their appreciation as well. So thank you very much today. This is awesome. Leticia says, thank you both. Great content. Paul says, wow, I'm out of the loop. Never heard about videos on LinkedIn. Got to explore. Yes. Yeah, follow my content some more, Paul. You'll see some more ideas on that. But guys, thank you very much for being here today. Soozy, I want to thank you for being here. What's the best way for folks to contact you? Through your LinkedIn profile, your website? What do you want them to do?
My LinkedIn profile has my email on it, so you can go to Soozy Miller. On LinkedIn, it's Soozy Miller, straight like that. It has my email there, or Soozy G Yahoo, SOOZYG at Yahoo.
And we got you tagged in. We have you tagged in on this, so just look at the very top of the description, and she's there. Feel free and click on her if you want to consult with her about her services. She apparently does great work based on what I'm hearing here. This is awesome. So thank you very much, Soozy. Bye, everyone. Stay on for a second, Soozy. Bye, everyone. Okay, John's going to let us know when it's okay to cut it off, because in the past I have cut myself off in mid-sentence before. Paul says, thank you all. First session attended and looking forward to many more. Well, thank you, Paul. Paul's amazing guest today.